But Akalon Waste is an interesting choice here for GungFuBanda. This is a map that actually works pretty decently for Blink as far as catching people off guard, but again, it's a bit, I don't know. I still, as weird as it is to say, I want to see this guy play a macro game. I know he's got it in him. He's just got to actually execute it.
I actually would like a Blink All In. I think that's a. I don't like them as a Terran, but I think they're a really good build. So if you want to take a map off, do the Blink All In.
Yeah, he really. Well, I mean, that's the thing. He just needs to get a win back in, so he's back in the series. I mean, when you're down two like this in a best of five, it's possible to come back, but it's never a good feeling, you know.
Wow, Rifkin, you really messed up the game.
No, it's not me. It's not me. This isn't a preloader thing. This is somebody else.
Actually, I think it's gonna be a drop. It's been for a long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call Emil on this one. No, I'm just kidding. Love Emil. Of course, we got Maury also streaming this. If anything goes wrong with any of the streams, there are multiple streams you guys can pick up on. Oh, hey, Roger Matamoros is Spanish. He's Spanish from Spain, even, Zombie Grub. From Barcelona.
Okay. You tell me this like I'm supposed to be surprised. I knew it.
Well, how are you doing today?
How you doing?
No, not like that.
Well, I woke up and then I got online to cast, so it's been like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those who are wondering what's coming up next, by the way, you can find this on Team Liquid, but Goody will be the next man on the docket, so we'll get to see us some mech after this. Unless GungFuBanda manages to come back. Goody does play Bio versus Protoss, which is a weird thing to see. I'm not going to lie.
Who was the other guy that race switched? He was TNZ. Maru? No. Oh, it was Donovan.
It was just the admin. GG Donovan. No, Donovan's a really nice guy. All right, here we go. Game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Can GungFuBanda bring it back from what is currently a 2-0 deficit? We'll have to wish him luck here in Akalon Waste. I'm Rifkin, joined today by Zombie Grub, and of course our wonderful observer Partoof. Spawning here though in the upper left corner of the map, playing for Millennium. It is Millennium's ForGG. I can't do camera swivels on this one. I'm sorry, Partoof.
And in the bottom right, as the orange Protoss, it is GungFuBanda.
The man with the name.
Yes. The man with a name.
Just that darn B in his name is like the worst. It could be anything else, except for maybe GungFuDanda. That'd be pretty annoying too, I think, as far as trying to get his name right. But Akalon Waste, we're talking about this during the load screen. I don't know if I'll keep that part in the VOD or not, but a Blink all-in on this map could be his ticket back into this. That being said, though, ForGG, he's been really good with his scouting this whole series. Again, we talked a little bit in Game 1 and slightly in Game 2, but his scouting typically tends to be off, and that ends up being his Achilles heel. But so far this series, he's actually been on top of the ball. Between the SCV and the Reaper, he hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah. The first game, he just had a build that really worked well against what our first player was doing, and the second time, yeah, the Reaper, and I was actually, before you dropped that, wanted to talk about was that when you do a 2-base Widowmine drop, you scout a Dark Shrine while it's finishing. You always do if you're going to go for Dark Shrine on 2-base. So that also did not work out well in GungFuBanda's favor at all. And hopefully he doesn't do the same thing again, because ForGG has done the last build 2 times, so he might do it again a 3rd time. And anything you're trying to keep secret around like 7 minutes is going to be found out.
Yeah. That's I guess that's kind of the rough thing too. If you do try and hide things, the timings are rather strict. You can't like delay a proxy oracle. Like you can't put a proxy oracle down at 11 minutes and expect it to work, or like 15 minutes and hope that it gets the same effect.
No, no. But still, blink all in here, one base. You do have to make sure that you kill whatever is scouting. So in this case, it's going to be an SCV to not go for a Reaper expand. So you're going to have to kill the SCV, pretend you're going to, fake a Nexus, and then of course go for the one base all in. Because I believe that ForGG, if he doesn't have a Reaper, he didn't go back and check that first game, which is the SCV scout. Like when it was gone, or it died, whatever. Didn't come back for a secondary scout.
Well, kind of interesting choice to come down here to the Watchtower. Of course, wants to check for proxy pylons or anything of that nature. I think 4GG knows that like being on game 3 like this, GungFuBanda may end up being a little more desperate, but has yet to reveal that, or at least any signs of that. SCV still scouting around the main. Saw the Nexus come down. I mean, not really Nexus is nothing surprising though. I mean, it's how you open in TVP.
Yeah. Well, it's a Nexus, so it's not doing anything on one base, right? 4GG can
I guess yeah. You confirm it's not a
wait a little
4 or
longer.
something.
Yeah. But it's, he's going to have to get back in there with the Widowmine drop or whatever he does. Actually, he's not doing Widowmine drop. I'm sorry. I just saw the barracks go down. I don't know why I said that. He's just going to go for, regular, like a lot of units on the ground.
Yeah, well, 3 actually like this too. It can be enough to deal with any sort of production that comes early on, as long as you see it coming. If you have the appropriate amount of bunkers, if it ends up being a 7-gate or something like that, you're obviously not going to hold the naked Marines. Now there is no Oracle this time, so 4GG can sigh a breath of relief, I guess, knowing that he won't have to dance with that. Well, I guess he doesn't know that yet, but of course we have God mode vision.
Yeah, he's doing the exact same thing he did last time, which 4GG was able to scout the Reaper. This time he's got to be maybe a little more precautious. This is what I was like. If he was doing a blink all in or a 4 gate or something like that, no, there would be no bunker. 4GG would probably die, but of course he scouted the Nexus, so who knows if he put down a bunker. Anyways, GungFuBanda are going to be going into a macro game again. Probably the same thing we saw him do on Belshir, just hopefully he remembers the extended thermal lance this time.
That is such a painful thing to like think about too, because again, it's not just GungFuBanda, guys, and it's not like we're trying to call him out overly on it. It is something that does happen frequently and commonly to all pro players. I mean, you find any professional Protoss player, they'll tell you at some point, yes, in an important game they've forgotten extended thermal lance. But Stalker in the middle of the map will barely get away from this. No concussive shells, of course, done just yet. So sees the army coming and positions the mothership core accordingly.
It's just going to bait out a cannon, and then they're probably going to go home. Although if there's not a whole lot of units, they might stick around and try and kill anything that's high in gas. So, for instance, these sentries, which GungFuBanda is actually keeping on the high ground, so he's probably aware that that's what 4G wants to snipe. Oh, he just bypasses the Nexus. Oh, okay, well that's good, because the force field will go down.
Well,
there we go. Easy.
Gets the baited overcharge out of it. Actually doesn't lose too much, awkwardly enough. That Marauder with his beautiful health pool does soak a lot of this, but looks like he's gonna wait it out and hope to catch a sentry or two on the way back.
The Immortal out. I don't know. They can still target down a sentry. Oh, that was a nice snipe on the Marauder. Like instantly gets blasted away, and he does end up getting at least one sentry. Actually, we see him now finally pulling back the sentry, make sure that doesn't die. Zealot dies, not a big deal. Still, very micro-intensive amount of units. We actually see a War Prism come out, by the way, and it's... Oh, I was afraid it was going to be seen. It is not. What's he going to use it for, though? Just to warping in a few Zealots?
It can be great to get behind your opponent like that. I mean, for Terran in general, it's hard to deal with Zealots, but typically Zealots are difficult to deal with because of the armor upgrades. Again, we've got the weapon upgrades coming out with the goal of the Colossus. I don't know that Zealots will be the scariest thing here, because cleaning them up is actually not that big of an issue when they don't have a lot of armor attached to them.
I'm guessing he's going to warp in, 4 Zealots, pick them up, and then wait for like the 10-minute, 10:30 medevac timing, when 4G pushes out, and then go in. At least, at the very least, force him to pull back, at most get a lot of SCV kills, and it's a solid strategy, especially if you know that they're not going to be, not going to be able to put on any before that, as we saw he dealt with the pressure pretty okay, that 4G did put on. We see his own drop, though. Once again, it's a late one, but it is a Widowmine drop.
Yeah, a little bit awkward to see, a little bit odd to see, but there is no detection here. Cannon's coming down, but it's not going to be finished just yet, and I'm going to sneeze, so you take over for a sec.
The Widowmine! Oh, no. Okay, that was close. That was really close, but he pulls back a probe, and it does only kill one probe, rather than a whole bunch. The medevac also goes down.
Yeah, the overcharge was really good. Sorry about that. Now, what's nice about the Zealot attack is, again, while it might not do the most damage and it won't be the hardest thing to clean up, it's a small mineral investment to keep ForGG at home, rather than having him push out with his entire army.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, ForGG is not pushing out. He has the medevacs. It's 10:30. Usually by the time, this happened, they're already across the map ready for, drops and such. No, he's going to take care of the rocks and then go a little bit later. Looking to maybe, really fast get up that command center. And this means that GungFuBanda has to wait a long while for actually using this War Prism. He is waiting to see the army move out with this observer, and he still hasn't seen it. It looks like he might go anyways.
Well, if the army's down at the third, it's just as good as moving out for the time being. But if the army's idling in the natural, it'll come back to the main with no issue. He really can't send this in too early.
No. Alright, he's just waiting. And he should see... There he goes. Now he sees the army moving out. This would be the time to move in. There we go.
Oh, snipes the observer, though. Really nice from ForGG. There's that dead space in the main, but he's not going to utilize it. Just decides to fly right on in. Did show for a second. Don't know if ForGG saw it. There are Vikings out. This War Prism does have to be deadly careful about this.
Well, this is really important that, he didn't do that right then because ForGG pulled back. Now he has no idea when ForGG is pushing out. And in this case, they're in medevacs and they're flying. So it's going to be a lot more abrupt that he's like, oh, crap, it's already moved out. And he will have to, definitely recall that he has a War Prism to use. But by then, the drop will have commenced. And can he actually defend it? He has a Colossus and quite a big army. So he'll probably not take too much damage.
No, I mean, it's 3 drops, but again, as you said, it's Bio versus a Colossus that does not have Thermal Lance. Oh, no. So walks into the Marauders, goes down immediately. That's rough to deal with. The force fields are okay, but they're not going to do a whole lot here. Overcharge actually completely not even touching this. The Immortals are doing a tiny bit of damage, but it's the Marines that will push this back. Another Mortal will go down. Will the drop be utilized? Looks like a couple Zealots were dropped at the third of ForGG while this was going on. So GungFuBanda not going to get too much done in the counterattack method. And it's really unfortunate. This drop is doing way more damage than it should have. That Colossus on the front lines should not have been on the front lines.
Yeah, the Colossus on the front lines, plus, the force fields actually worked against the Zealots, and he could have pulled back. Okay, he loses a pylon and a gateway, maybe. I think that's better than losing most of his army to get into range of that photon overcharge. And now he's finally going to clean it up. He actually just gets away with 1 medevac full. There's a gigantic army at the front. A lot of Vikings, and he was fooled by the 1 Colossus, because it was just 1 Colossus, but Storm's not ready anyways.
But Zombie Grub, do you see what's incorporated with this army? Something you don't see too often in the Terran mix-up.
Hellbats? Yeah. ForGG has been one to experiment with that, and, well, he's just going to roll over right here, so I guess we can talk about that after the GG.
Yeah, this is not looking good for GungFuBanda. Well, that's a kind of a cool choice. Of course, they don't have Blue Flame or anything, so very limited on their damage, but still has a pretty good amount of splash. Again, the big thing is we see a lot of Zealots this game, knocking a lot down. Beautiful Storms going down, but even then, it's not going to be enough.
Well, GG, well played. GungFuBanda bringing out actually kind of a good mixture of builds, but they were all targeted towards the mid game, and ForGG just has a good mid game.
Yeah, that'll get ForGG, of course, €100 guys locked down one way or another. No matter if he loses or wins today, he'll have at least €100 in his pocket, so that's going to feel pretty good. A pretty quick win for that. But man, I just gotta go back to this for a second, because so often we see armored Zealots be just almost impossible to kill, and that whole game, it was very squishy Zealots trying to contend with a lot of bio, and as you guys saw, if you play Protoss, it just doesn't work out.
The first Colossus that he made is really key. He should have kept that alive, but letting it die like that was really where everything started to roll downhill. I also believe that during that time, he wasn't as quick as he might have been on getting up to Storm, because it only finished just as that attack happened. I think it probably might have been finished quite a bit earlier had he been able to really pay attention, not worry about dying to a drop.
Yeah. Well, quick shout out, by the way, we gotta get into this next series. It's gonna be Goody versus ForGG, guys. They gotta handle vetoes and stuff, so we'll be a few minutes. We'll hold here for a second to go to ads. I want to shout out to Moon, the 5th Race, a subscriber on the channel, but also sent us a very nice tweet. ForGG Gosu, great casting. Rifkin and Zombie Grub, thank you, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it.